In 3, 2, 1. Well, good morning, warriors. This is the Worship Warrior Podcast, the most transparent Christian podcast you are ever going to find. I guarantee it. We talk about our real life experiences in relations to all sorts of religious topics, and we are going to do the same today because we are going to be talking about something that me, has personally experienced and was a part of as a young child. This is not hearsay. This is This is not like
hearsay.
This is not just so and so said this to somebody's grandma. I've been there. Anna has never taken part of it, but she knows about it, and she knows enough about it because, of course, we researched before these. And of course, what I'm talking about is, you've seen the title. It's this, in my opinion, pretty crazy.
Pretty intense
evangelical alternative to haunted houses, meant to bring people to Jesus, but instead does it instill too much fear in these young Christians? We'll find out today. This device, of course, is called Hell House. But first,
that's a crazy name.
It is a crazy name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll give it a 10 out of 10 for marketing.
I know, the marketing is great.
Marketing is great on this. I mean,
marketing is great.
As a kid, I don't want to get too much of a spoiler, but you're already watching it, so what even is a spoiler?
Yeah, that's so true.
As a kid,
it's scary.
Couldn't wait.
Really?
Looked forward to it.
Hell House.
Dude, yeah. It was basically just a haunted house, but for Christians. But where it gets a little dicey is on some of the messaging there.
The real life examples.
Some of the examples they give, and we're gonna get into all of this and more. And I'm really excited.
Yeah.
But before we do that, before we do any of this, we mentioned it last week briefly. And of course, I'm talking about the war, the actual war that's going on in the world today. Everybody knows about it. It's between Israel and Palestine. Yeah. And we touched on it briefly when we
Gaza, really.
Sorry, yes, Israel and Gaza.
Yeah.
And that is actually my point, which is that we didn't know much about it.
Yeah.
And I still am learning a bit. Anna has been deep diving into this quite a bit. She's talked about it every single day of our household. Yeah. She feels very passionate about this. Yeah. And because of that, she actually came to me before we started recording and asked if she could say a little something to this. Now, I again will stand with, I don't really want to put my opinion out there just yet because I still am soaking it all in. Yeah. But she feels this way. I am by no means going to censor anybody here. So, Anna, if you are ready and would like to say a few words about what's going on and what you believe is happening, Go ahead.
It's more than a few words.
It's gonna be a little bit. And if you want to just get into Hell House, I'll probably put like a timestamp.
But it's real. If you skip me, that's gonna be really rude, and I will cry about it later.
She will cry. But I'm gonna go ahead and pass off this laptop to you. Look at that. Now the control is all yours.
Hey guys.
And whenever you're ready, take it away.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, so a few words on the conflict. So, Michael, go ahead and jump in whenever you want. And if you have a question, you can ask. I might not know about it. I'll definitely write it down and we can talk, and I'll figure out the answer later.
Yes.
So I want to enter this conversation with a lot of love, a lot of empathy. I understand we all have our own opinions, and I'm not here to force you to believe what I believe. I just want to let you know what is going on. On October 7th, the militant group Hamas launched an unprecedented attack on Israel, killing more than 1,400 people and taking more than 220 hostages. This is directly from BBC News. Okay? This is devastating. This is lives lost for no good reason. This should have never happened. But why did it happen? Right? A lot of people are confused. Hamas has said it was motivated to launch the attack essentially as the culmination of a long-building anger over Israel policy, including recent outbreaks of violence at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, but more generally over the treatment of Palestinians and the expansion of Israel's settlements. This is from CBS News. So I'm getting all my facts from the news, guys, okay? I'm not just randomly finding it on Facebook. So for Palestinians, the day after Israel declared independence in 1948 is referred as the Nakba. So just some history, some context about why Palestinians are angry. However, Hamas and Palestinians are two different groups, right? So for Palestinians, the day after Israel declared independence in 1948 is referred to as the Nakba, the Arabic word for disaster. It marked the start of a war in which some 700,000 Arabs were expelled from or fled their homes as the new state was established on what had been British-ruled Palestine. So this is what is now known as Israel, right? Sorry, I'm kind of sick. I don't want to blow my boogers on the air.
I heard that, and I was looking around like, somebody let a
I know.
dog
I have
in there?
boogies.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Simple terms. British ruled Palestine. Palestinians lived there. A bunch of Jewish people after the Holocaust had nowhere to go. Refugees. British gave over the land to the Jewish people without consulting the Palestinian people who had lived there for multiple years. Many of the refugees wound up in the Gaza Strip. The refugees from the 1940s who are still living, plus their descendants, make up about 81% of Gaza's 2.1 million people. They are all counted as refugees today because no permanent solution for them has been found. For more than 70 years, displaced Palestinians have claimed a right of return to what is now Israel, a position Israel rejects. Right? So 2.1 million people are still refugees after 70 years in a land that used to be theirs. That's just fact. This is just fact. I have not even stated an opinion.
Got it.
These are just facts.
So this is just, you're basically just walking through the history of what happened.
I'm walking through the history
to get us.
Exactly.
All right.
Who has a right to the land is debated, and in fact, the Jewish lineage and the Palestinian lineage cross throughout history, making the lines blurred as to whose land that is. And I did not consult Michael, but we will have a video linked if you want to understand more about that and what it means in terms of today.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Just remind me.
So that's history for you guys to like really understand how complicated it is, the ownership of this land. Main point is that in the last 100 years, Israel has been made into a new country, and 700,000 Palestinians were pushed out of that country. Right? Now that we established that Hamas is a terrorist group, because they are,
yes,
and that the land in question can be claimed by both sides, the fact remains that the British kicked out 700,000 Palestinians out of their homes to make room for what is now known as Israel. That is a fact. What happens now with those people? They are forced into a strip of land known as Gaza and are harassed by Israel for many years to come. Israel controls what they eat, what they can have, gas that goes in, no weapons are allowed, and they're not allowed to have an army. To give you an idea of the size of Gaza, it is a bit smaller than the size of Houston. This is known as the largest open-air prison in the world. Okay, so kids are being born in here. They're not allowed out. It's a tiny strip of land. Very overpopulated. Very dense. They have nowhere to go. This brings us to what's going on today. Since October 7th, Israel has been carpet bombing the small strip of land that houses more than 2 million people, Hamas being less than 1% of that population. Israel has bombed the third oldest Christian church in the world, including many hospitals, entire neighborhoods, has wiped out 45 family lines from the Palestinian registry. That means kids, grandparents, cousins, all wiped out. Has bombed schools and mosques, and they are preventing aid to come in. The death toll in Gaza has risen to over more than 5,000 people as of today, October 23rd. These people have nowhere to go. Israel has shut out any food, gas, water, and medical supplies. This is called collective punishment. and this is a war crime. Collective punishment, by definition, is a punishment or sanction imposed on a group for acts allegedly perpetrated by a member of that group. That's a war crime. Israel has cornered an entire population and are now killing them. Okay, here we go. Recently, there was a vote in the UN to cease fire in order to get aid to civilians. 2 countries abstained from voting, those countries being Russia and Britain, so they didn't vote, and 1 voted against, and this country was the United States. America voted against a ceasefire to help the Palestinians get the help they need, medical supplies, food, water, and time to bury their dead without fear of being bombed. This is a humanitarian crisis, no matter what side you are on. I encourage you to do your own research. I encourage you to look at the facts and make an opinion of your own. That does not mean look at a Facebook post and believe it, but really do your research. It is the bare minimum. If you are wondering what you can do to support the people of Palestine, you can donate to charity that is funding aid. Some people are boycotting different companies that support Israel, like McDonald's and Starbucks. But most importantly, stay informed and do not look away. Look at the statistics about racism in Israel. Read about their government and how it got its power. Do not believe the first thing you see on the internet. In fact, I encourage you to prove me wrong, to show me the facts that prove that this is not a genocide. I always said that if I were alive during a genocide, I would know it was happening, and I would be brave enough to do something. Now here we are in 2023, and although it is not much, I am trying. For the people in Israel, I pray for you, and for the people in Palestine, I pray that someday you will be free. To end this segment, I want to read a quick poem by Maya Angelou.
Nice.
And this poem is called, it's very famous, you probably heard of it, The Caged Bird. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends and dips his wings in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful thrill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade wind soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on dawn's bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful thrill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. Thank you.
Wow, that was beautiful. And funny that you would just assume I know poems like that. I've never heard of that.
Really?
Yeah, really, yeah. No, you know me.
So just a few words. Take that as you will. I love you all. The end.
The end. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure.
For coming on and saying that. Now, I'll go ahead and say that, this, that wasn't totally new to me, just because, like I said, you've been talking about this pretty much ever since it's happened and how strongly you felt. So strongly, in fact, that, we got into a pretty big debate on whether or not I was allowed to go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I respect that of you. That's one of the things I definitely respect. And one of the things that drew me to you as a person is that you're not afraid to do this. You're not afraid to stand on your opinion, even when other people might disagree and harshly disagree with what you're saying. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And I'll just say that I definitely stand by what you just said. And, I wouldn't let it air here if I didn't.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I just want to say on my part that it's very tragic what's happening. It makes me sad every time I hear about it. And hearing you break it down like that, it's hard to hear. Yeah. It's not fun to hear, but I think it is something that's really important. And we have such a small platform, right? But you gotta listen to what God's telling you to say, right? And I feel like that's who's really telling you to say that stuff. And so you were obedient and did it, and I'm proud of you. And yeah.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
A lot of research.
A lot of research,
Because
yeah.
I didn't know much either. I mean, the first time it happened, I was like, I thought it was out of the blue,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not out of the blue.
Yeah. Yeah, the more that comes out, the more apparent for me, at least, that it's like, I don't know, that I guess I'm just shocked, but also not, that I had no idea this was going on for 100 years. You know what I mean?
I had no idea either, yeah.
It's just one of those things that's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
To think about how little you actually are paying attention in the world. But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say on that?
No, I think I've laid it
Well,
there.
there you go. That was Honest Thoughts on Israel and Gaza and what's happening today. Again, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being so open about it.
For sure.
You know, and we'll link that video down below that she's talking about, you know, and just please keep researching it. Keep looking it up. Keep finding things to look at. And don't, I'll say this to close this part of the segment. Don't, I guess, you know, direct hate towards anybody.
Of course.
Who's disagreeing with you or who has something else to say.
No.
Because they're, you know, at the end of the day, I think the one thing we can all agree on is that nobody wants kids to die. Nobody wants women to die. Nobody wants anybody to die.
Yeah.
And if we can all just agree on that and focus on that and praying for everybody, I think we're going to get along a lot better, you know? And then we'll work towards a solution, hopefully. I mean, we can't do much.
I know.
Except that.
Make the United States of America cease fire.
Yeah, there's not much you can do, unfortunately. Maybe vote. That's
Oh,
coming
yeah,
up.
vote, yeah.
So that's something else you could do. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on because that is taking up some time. I do appreciate that.
For sure.
All right, so back to the main topic of today.
Word.
We are, again, like I said in the beginning, talking about Hell House. It is close to Halloween. This is coming out on October 25th, I believe. This is a Halloween shirt. Can't see it, but this is a Halloween hat. I am very much in the mood. I am excited. I'm thrilled. Can't wait. But one thing that is less thrilling is what we're talking about, which is the Hell House. So, do you know what that is? You can't.
Yes.
You can't respond to me. I did ask them for some reason, but you know what that is.
Yeah, I know what that is.
What is that in your own words? What are we talking about? Yeah.
Hell House is an evangelical Christian scary house.
Okay. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, where they say a lot of things.
Yes, and it is. They do say a lot of things. It's an experience, and it's controversial for a lot of people. But just to give a few facts before we get into like my experience with it, you know, just because we like to give that basis. The first Hell House was actually started from Liberty University. I didn't know that by Jerry Farwell or something like that.
Farwell.
I think that's how you say it. And but it
He's
actually
my uncle.
Shut up. He is not your uncle. Don't you? I don't think you want him to be.
No, I actually he's not my uncle.
But it was called the Scare Mare. It wasn't even called Hell House yet. Just like most things, it had to evolve into what it is today. And then that was kind of like where it started, and it was more of like a haunted trail of some sorts. All right. So then after a while, Hell House gets popular, and they start putting on. Oh, the writing.
Oh no.
Oh.
But you can hear the writing?
Yeah. What did you hear?
Nothing. I burped.
Oh, okay.
Hey, continue.
Anyway, I was going to get scared. Hell House was put on by other churches like the Cedar Hill Trinity Church and the one that I went to, which was put on by Bethel.
Ooh, Bethel's actually controversial.
Bethel in itself is a very controversial. We could have a whole episode on Bethel.
Maybe we will, actually.
We absolutely will. Keep that mic a little bit closer.
Maybe we will, actually.
We absolutely will, because there is so much to say
about Bethel.
about Bethel and what they've been doing. Okay. So that's the one that I went to. It was here in Temple, Texas. It was very interesting. If you don't believe me, boom, there's a picture right there. There's a picture of me and my friends.
Who wouldn't believe you, though?
I don't know.
Like, who's going to comment, I don't believe you?
I mean, many people would. And, you know, if I see that, I'm going to cry. I'll be like, shut up. You don't know me. Okay, so Scare Mare. Okay, so going on. So that is what I went to. However, I couldn't find any more haunted hell houses.
It was hard to find some.
But I did find Scaremares. Scaremares. They do exist today. Mm-hmm. So this concept is still alive. After some digging, it took a while. So it's here. And just to give you an idea of some of the scenes they talk about, they're usually over the top. They're usually with the kid actors. They're teenage actors, not kids, but teenage actors.
Children.
Yep. They're put on by youth groups, essentially. And, they depict things like drinking and driving, getting abortions, getting shot up in a school, everyday occurrences for us. So...
Just your typical day in America.
Just your typical day in America. And that's kind of the basis. And that's... And again, the goal is essentially to convert you in the end. That's what the goal is.
I think to scare you into believing in
really
God.
Okay, so you think that do you believe that? Let me ask you this before we get into it. Do you believe that the people that put this on, do you believe that's what they're saying in the boardrooms, that we're this week or this year we're gonna scare 500 people into believing?
Yeah.
You do.
I do.
You do believe that?
Yeah.
Pretty mean if you ask me.
Yeah.
It's pretty rude.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe not all of them. Definitely like the teens are like, oh, we're doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I definitely think the leadership there.
I mean, dude, when you're a teenager, you think you know everything, but you don't have no idea what's going on.
No, absolute. Yeah. You believe everything.
Yes. And so I believe that, teenage actors in this, I mean, it's appealing. It looks fun to be a part of, right? Especially as like a theater nerd like yourself.
Yeah.
And like someone like me.
Fellow youth group, ex-youth group member.
Yeah. Youth group is awesome.
If
my church never put this on, I'm kind of happy we didn't. But if we ever did,
I would have been there.
I would have been first in line.
I would have been getting an abortion.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's this really great documentary about all of this too, which we're gonna get into a little bit later.
Oh, you should totally watch it.
That we're gonna also link because it's free on YouTube.
Yeah, link everything.
Link everything because we don't want you to to think we're just making things up here. This is all factual. This is all the things that are happening in the world.
These are the facts.
Absolutely.
Today we bring you the facts. Usually we bring you just opinion.
That's true. Oh yeah, we did say last time. This is the most research. This
one's more factual. Yeah.
This is the most research I've ever done for a podcast. And also, like I said, I walked through this myself. So, I'm gonna go ahead. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna, just for the people who to really get a grasp of what this experience is like, what happens in this hell house. And if you already know, then I'm pretty sure it's been a while since you've walked through it. So come with me and try to put yourself back there. You know what I'm saying? So you really get the effect. If you've never heard of this, if you clicked on this with curiosity, I'm going to walk you through it. I'm going to show you what it's actually like, and then we'll go from there. And please chime in whenever you feel a need to say something.
Okay.
All right. So this is how it starts. You go to this church. So for mine, it was Bethel. All right. And it's a great day.
All right.
You pack your lunches. What are you doing over there?
I'm just doodling.
Oh, okay.
That's
pretty awesome. Yeah, that's fair.
There you go.
That's cool. All right. So you get your lunches. You're with your friends, right?
I'm a tactile learner. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Don't know what that means.
You don't know what that means?
Pretty sure you just made that up.
No, I did not make that up.
Sounds like you did.
Anyway, sandwiches.
So sandwiches. So you're with your friends. It's a good day. You get it loaded up in the bus with your matching T-shirts and
the girl you like
sitting next to you. And you're like, this is going to be the best day of my life, right? And so you drive to the place and you get out. And when you're outside, there's a waiting, you wait in the grass. And they usually have a tent or something set up to where that's where it's going to be. If it's not in the church, I don't remember if it was or not, but it just varies depending on where you go. Yeah. This was a long time ago. So then you wait outside and you eat and then until it's time to go because these lines, let me tell you.
They go by fast?
No, they're huge.
Oh,
they go by slow, in my opinion. They're long lines. Wow. A lot. This is a very, very popular event. This is not something that
Well, I imagine for churches, they're always looking for like Halloween
Exactly.
things to do.
And what better thing to do than
Hell House.
something that is scary, but it's Christian.
Yeah.
So it has to be good for you, right?
Yeah.
That's not always true. So there we are. So you wait in line, and then eventually it's time to go. Your party gets called, and you all go. I don't remember if we split up. I don't remember how many we had, but they do it by groups for sure. So you get with your group, and I think a demon is the first thing you see. So you walk in, and it's kind of like that's going to be your tour guide.
The demon's your tour guide?
Yes.
Well, because you're going through hell or what?
Well, you're not in hell yet.
But you will be.
I'll spoil the ending for these people now. So, so you start walking through this haunted house, and it's like, it looks like a haunted house. Black tarps, scary
spooky.
music. The lights are going. You hear screaming from other people, and there's like clawing and stuff. And then this demon gives you a beautiful monologue about what you're going to see today and stuff like that.
Wow.
And then after that, basically you just walk scene by scene through some of the most, bless you.
Thank you.
Through some of the most gruesome and violent things you can think of. So
Yeah.
like I said before, so they cover everything. There was a literal person taking their own life. There was a drunk driving scene where everybody crashed and died.
That's intense.
There was a drug overdose scene. And they have all these scenes, and basically at the end of each one of these, more often than not, I think there was only like one exception, this person gets dragged to hell. So more often than not, after this horrible thing happens, or they make a mistake of any kind, like going to a party,
Yeah.
they end up dying at the party, and get dragged away, and then the demon is taunting them like,
That's what you get.
that's what you get, we tried to warn you.
Or very popular is getting SA'd at parties.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
that's a popular one.
then dying.
And then dying and then
So-
being like, well, that's what you get for going to a party. Now you're in hell.
Look at that outfit you wore. What did you expect?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So now you're probably starting to catch on. This is not a new form of preaching or form of ministering the word. This is definitely hellfire, brimstone preaching.
Yeah.
This is fear-based preaching. You're going through this as a kid, and let me tell you, it's working. For me, not so much in the moment, but that's only because I already knew this.
Yeah.
I was looking at these guys like, this is not news to me.
It just more
Come on.
reinforced what you believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I grew up in and I wouldn't say a household, more of like
The community.
a community. Well,
Or
so it's I'll tell you this. It's interesting because I feel like a lot of my anxiety and fear of messing up and stuff didn't really come from the back half of my childhood, because that's when my dad did take over as a pastor.
Yeah.
Before that, when it was under my grandpa, now he was pretty.
Fire and brimstone.
Oh yeah, he was a great guy. Loved him.
Yeah.
But that was my first dose of what Christianity was.
And that's your foundation.
And that was my foundation. Absolutely. So I'm going through this haunted house, and it's not, I'm scared because of the scary images.
Yeah.
And the gunshots are very loud. They freak you out. But as me, this is just reinforcing. I've been established this from birth,
Yeah.
that this is what the world is. This is how it goes. And again, for context, I grew up in a small town, so that adds to it. So I didn't know anything other than this.
Yeah.
I didn't know, we didn't, and plus I'm a kid, so I'm not even going to raves yet
No, yeah.
or anything. I'm not going out. But I definitely was not even
experience.
no experience is what I'm trying to get at. To say any other way that this is how it goes or not. So anyway, after these scenes, you end up going to hell yourself. And you see all the characters being tortured because of their mistakes that you saw earlier. And you're like, dang, that could have been me.
Yeah. Or that's going to be me.
That's going to be me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And after that, you go to heaven. And just like you expect, it's much nicer.
I bet.
It's pleasant.
No.
Definitely nothing. There's nothing manipulative there.
Yeah.
So it's nice and pleasant. and you're looking around, and then the demon goes away, and then a dude comes up who looks like a typical youth pastor. Typical youth pastor picture. Go up right there.
So true.
They all look like that. Take our word for it. It's true.
It's so true.
I've been told that before my long hair, not so much.
You gave very much youth pastor.
Very youth pastor vibes. Here's me when I look like a youth pastor.
Youth pastor vibes.
Look at that. I'm giving myself so much editing to do. It's horrible.
You really are.
But yeah, now with the long hair, I don't get confused so much. It's kind of nice. So anyway, he comes to you and he's like, all right, so you've seen life today.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
This is real actual life.
This happens all the time. Now, that's not necessarily untrue, although I do think they got a little creative with some of the stuff.
Yeah,
You know, they were like, so you can either risk this happening to you by, you know, leaving tonight. And who knows, maybe you'll die on the way back to church and then you'll end up in hell. Or you can come with us through this door and accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start. Now, I get this confused with the documentary we watched. I don't remember if they did the countdown. I want to say they did.
Yeah.
But then most of the time they will do a countdown, so which is even scarier.
Yeah.
So now the whole room of kids have been traumatized. This one adult is telling us this. It's dead silent. He takes a breath. And then he goes, 5, 4, 3, 2. And then little by little, people are starting to go through the door.
Yeah.
1, and then they shut the door. And that's your chance. And it's over.
And then you go to hell?
And then you just leave. But essentially, that's the message.
I just don't understand how that's not supposed to be fear-based.
Right. No, it definitely is.
Yeah.
But the reason she said that is because documentary, these people that put this thing on, they say it's not.
No.
They say it's supposed to be loving, and they're not trying to scare anybody in the gut. I'm like, I don't know, man.
I feel like the whole point is
like
to scare
that's
somebody
100%.
in the God.
At least own it. At least own that that's the whole point of this, right?
Yeah, speak your truth.
Speak your truth. All right, we're trying to scare these little kids into Christ. That's what we're doing.
Scare them straight, kind of.
It's very much a scare them straight. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that's what happens. And then once you go into the room, it's it's nice. You just talk about God. Pray. Normal church things. Everything before that, in my opinion, was not a normal church thing.
Absolutely not, no.
But it almost seems like that's kind of what we expect,
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you grew up in that time period. That's a lot of what happens on the pulpit side of things.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what do you think of all that?
Again, I don't understand how it's not fear-based.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very fear-based. But also, you say that had no repercussions on you whatsoever.
Yeah. I'm fine.
I think you need to speak your truth.
Okay.
I think you need to speak your truth.
All right. Did it have any? Sure, it had a few.
What happened to the most honest podcast you're going to have?
Okay. Let's get into it.
Okay, get into it.
Do I struggle with anxiety? Do I worry that I'm going to die every single day?
And go to hell?
And do I worry I'm going to mess up and go to hell?
Mm.
The answer to all of those is absolutely yes, 100%, all the time. I leave my house, I say goodbye to everybody, and I mean it.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I'm like, I think back to these, and it's not always so direct. Sometimes it's indirectly, subconsciously. You think back to these moments.
It's just as a child, it was subconsciously implanted into your brain.
Yes. And for the longest time, did I never do anything that I thought would kill me? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I travel a lot.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I'm not necessarily going out, but my work takes me out to these dangerous places.
Yeah.
These bars. Very transparent podcast. I'm a musician. We talked about that. I've played the bars. I do play the bars. I do play the scenes that were depicted in these things.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of this happen, I can tell you.
Yeah.
And as a Christian, I obviously, and I will 100% and confidently say, I don't participate or partake in anything worldly.
That's true.
I just play music.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you could debate and argue about maybe that. I personally disagree. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
And I have a lot to say about that.
He
but
does.
I do indeed. But I'm there to do a job, and therefore, just like any job, I wouldn't think to drink on the job anyway.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't think to, and then I'm married, so there's nothing, promiscuous happening there anyway.
I hope not.
It's definitely not.
But also, we're not saying like go and do things that are going to put you in danger or go and sin or go. We're simply saying that the fear implanted into the children's brains about religion or about making a mistake or about doing something wrong or that thing being the thing that's going to send me to hell or I can't make a mistake or I'm going to die and go to hell. That's the issue here.
It's a problem because, going back to, I guess, the effects is that, that one event didn't affect me as much. I don't think like directly because I had already been affected by certain elements and aspects. And I mean, I remember the first sermon I ever heard. I don't remember a word that was said, but all I remember is my grandpa yelling. And I remember him getting angry, and I remember feeling scared. Yeah. And I remember feeling like I need to follow God because I am scared. Yeah. And, we've talked about that there is an aspect to fear in God, but it's not necessarily the fear that you would think of. It's more of like, and this is, okay, I'm going to quote my dad here. So I talked to my dad about this because I value his outlook. I think he's a great pastor. I think he's great at his job. I think he's a caring guy. Yeah. Like I said, this is like a lot of before he took over. But by then, it's already implanted in you, right? Yeah, of course. And so I asked him about it. I was like, well, what do you think about this approach to fear preaching? And he said he doesn't do it. He doesn't agree with it. And that his words were, when it comes to following God and fearing God, yes, the Bible says to fear God. And I actually have a verse where it 100% says that. So we're not saying it doesn't say that. Psalms 34:9.
Look it up.
Jesus Christ. You are so aggressive today. Fear the Lord. They're not the enemy here. Fear the Lord, you his holy people, for those who fear him lack nothing. But his point was, when it talks about fearing God, it's more of a reverence. It's more of a respect. So if you change that same verse to respect the Lord, you as holy people, for those who respect him like nothing, that has a whole different meaning. Therefore, this house will become invalid because it's no longer talking about an emotional fear. It's like a spiritual respect and reverence toward the God who made you, toward the God who could take it away, toward the God who instead chose to give you mercy, chose to give you grace. And that never gets talked about in these places, which is why I feel like it's good that I don't find a lot of them anymore. Because, it's not just about us, but I think about the kids that were struggling with some of the actual scenes. Totally. Maybe somebody who was essayed, maybe somebody who's already suicidal, and they see somebody kill themselves. Maybe somebody who feels like they're gay, and they see somebody get AIDS, and they see that person die horribly, a horrible death. Yeah. Or maybe who's somebody who already had an abortion. Yeah. They see somebody get,
Which side note, there's so many misconceptions about AIDS. A lot of women got AIDS too, not just gay men.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. You talk about misconception in heaven, dude. That's like that whole era. Yeah. You look back and you're like, wait, this makes no sense. Yeah. That doesn't, it literally, like, these scenes are just like, they're kind of cringy. Like, you look at them and you're like, that's not how the anatomy works. Yeah. For a lot of things. But you don't know any better when you're going through it, which is why I think they're dangerous. Yeah. I think they are dangerous. I think it's dangerous because of those people, because of those who don't understand that they're not talking, and honestly, it's because they're not talking about the right thing, which is that the truth is, even though, sin is sin, right? You're not supposed to sin. And this is something that my DP, my daddy pastor, also said. Daddy pastor. Woo! Is that he believes that if you are saved, if you are a Christian, you've accepted Christ, you make a mistake, something happens to you, why would God not forgive that? Why would he not know the contents of your heart? That's so true. So knowing that, wouldn't it be better just to be like, look, God, he loves you. The real
Hell House therapy.
Yeah. What? I don't know what that means.
Okay, just keep going.
Jesus, I tried to play along, but I really didn't know what that meant. Jesus loves you. He died on the cross for you.
Yeah.
All right. And they say that at the end, but after they've traumatized you.
Yeah.
Okay, that part doesn't need to be there. I am more now. I know people will disagree with this. I'm more of a fan of the actual haunted. Just put on a haunted house, in my opinion.
Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, because
controversial. That's controversial.
It is, but I don't know.
Get into it.
They can be fun. You know,
they can be fun,
and they don't leave you traumatized.
They don't leave you traumatized
at the end.
Well, because at the end of a haunted house, you go, "Whoa, okay, that wasn't real." Yes. But at the end of Hell House, you go, "Whoa, okay,
that was real, and it's gonna happen.
That was real, and it's gonna happen to me if I do anything wrong ever."
Yes, God's real.
Yeah,
the contexts are real, but the what you just said at the end, if I mess up one time, God's gonna punish me forever is not true. It's just not.
Also, what was I going to say? Because we talked about it with Michael's dad and Michael's mom, and something that was brought up was it's supposed to be what happens if you don't believe in God.
Right.
Which I understand, but it's so graphic that I think it's unnecessary.
Even for that,
I think it's, and they don't I don't think that's the point.
They don't even make that clear.
No, I don't think it's even like a little point. I think the point is to scare you into believing in God.
It's no matter, and that's the difference. Also, is that I agree with what you said, but it's not even meant to just scare you into believing. It's meant to scare you straight in a way. Like, even if you believe,
what are you doing wrong?
Don't do anything that we don't like.
Yeah,
and that's a very human mentality.
Yeah.
It's not even, in my opinion, not even don't do what God doesn't want. It's don't do what we don't want you to do. You know?
Yeah.
And that's where it becomes dangerous, because it's humans
dictating
your life. That's a hard word to say.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we're going to play a little game here to lighten things up, but also not really.
It's going to get worse. Buckle in. If you're driving, close your eyes.
Don't do that. You got to stop telling people to do that.
Close your eyes and unbuckle.
No.
Go ahead.
Oh, gosh. You can't do that on this podcast. What if somebody actually does that? You shouldn't do that anyway. Don't listen to Anna.
My name's Anna.
It's confusing.
My name's Anna.
Your name is Anna.
My name's Anna, and you're getting nervous because my name is Anna.
Sometimes it's Anna, sometimes it's Anna. What can I say? What have you told people? Tell them what you tell people.
I tell people Anna when it's business and Anna when it's fun.
So excuse me if that's a little confusing.
Well, it's fun. Okay, I guess this is business, so you can call me Anna.
No, it's Anna. Anna. Yeah. We'll go with Anna today.
Go ahead.
All right, excuse me. Her name's Anna today. Tomorrow it might be something completely different. Might be Chaz. Okay, so here's the game that we're going to play. Basically what's going to happen is I'm going to describe a scene to you.
Okay.
A scene.
Okay.
Word for word, just so you understand what we're talking about here. Just so it really sinks to what these scenes actually are depicting.
Okay.
That we saw literally happen.
Yes, children.
I'm not going to change a single thing.
Okay.
In the documentary.
Oh, in the documentary. Okay, got you.
Right, because I don't remember it completely.
Let's go.
But this was in the documentary. And you tell me at the end.
Let's go.
Let me explain.
Oh, right. Sorry.
You tell me at the end what the lesson was, okay?
Okay.
Now you can say let's go.
Okay, let's go.
There we go. All right. Scene number 1.
Gotcha.
A girl is peer pressured to go to a rave. We don't know if she's Christian or not.
Okay.
Some guys start noticing her and start flirting with her.
Uh-oh.
They offer her a drink.
Uh-oh.
But the drink in question has been drugged.
Okay.
So she drinks it.
Okay.
And after she drinks it, what do you think happens? She does.
Oh, SA'd.
It's whatever.
She gets SA'd.
Yeah. She then goes home, realizes what she's done. So, terrified, she starts feeling a pressure to not tell anybody because it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And we see all this happen. And during this whole scene, a demon appears and basically mocks her to her face.
Yeah.
For going out. You caused this.
It's your fault.
This is your fault.
Okay.
She convinces herself that the demon is right, and ends up taking her own life in the bedroom. And the demon then drags her lifeless body
to hell.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this: what was the lesson there?
Okay, can I tell you what I hope the lesson would be?
Okay.
I hope that the lesson would have been that God loves you, and that your community is so sorry that this happened to you, and we want to uplift you, and we want you to find your form of forgiveness in this really hard time that you're going through.
That's not even close to what the lesson was.
But that's what I wish it would have been.
That's a beautiful lesson.
Thank you. That's what
beautiful.
I wish it would have been. I bet you it's don't go to parties or you'll get SA'd and then dragged to hell.
Correct. Which, in my opinion, is the equivalent to no lesson.
Yeah.
Because what do you even mean? There's those three things happening in itself, like in a row in one night. Yeah. Pretty unbelievable. It would usually,
fester.
And then it fester, and then to show like just the no hope. You know what I mean? There was like no. She was like doomed from the start.
Yeah.
I was like, oh well, that's depressing.
But like, here's the thing: if I am making this right, and I want people to see the grace of us Christians, why wouldn't my scene be like? I would never depict a girl get SA'd, first of all, for the children. But if I'm doing it, I think my scene would be like, and then a church member comes and, you know what I mean? Or like,
and then Bible man
appears. Or like she talks to somebody and they're like, don't worry, God still loves you. Like, you know what I mean?
That is beautiful. That is what should
happen.
But I
guess it wouldn't be Hell House.
But, well, it wouldn't be church, if you ask me. And I believe that. No, seriously, because in my and I'll say this, not even in my experience, because I will say I feel very privileged. I really do. I mean, yes, there was, I believe, some mistakes made in my upbringing, but nothing detrimental. I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
And I will say I give my dad all the credit in the world, because when he was head of our church, I at least felt like we talked to anybody and everybody who had been through whatever. We had all the people that church would have probably said, no, we don't want them. And he was really good at that, and he still is. But I come out there, I come to college, and I realize that, to my surprise, that's not the majority. It's not even that. It's not even some people. It's like, that's not the majority of what happens.
You're the outlier.
Yes. Yeah. And that is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Because, that's just not how it should be. So, yeah, I would say, well, obviously they can't show that, because then a church wouldn't do that. Instead, somebody else would do that. But that's why so many people are turned off by church. Moving on to scene number 2, a man named Steve. Steve is dying in bed because he has AIDS. How did he get him? It's heavily implied that he had sex with a man. So a demon appears and mocks him for being gay. Just literally playground bullies him. Then the nurse rolls in another person. So they're side by side now, of someone who tried to abort the baby by herself and is now dying. And I mean, it is graphic. There's blood shooting out everywhere. Yeah. There's blood everywhere. They both die at the same time, but Steve over there curses God. And the baby aborter, who we never learned the name of, asked for forgiveness. The demon takes away Steve, and the aborter goes to heaven. What is the message?
That gay people go to hell.
What would you? Well, I like what you did in the beginning. What would you like the message to be?
Oh, thank you. What would
I haven't even planned.
I would like the message to be, because the nurse is like really going at him, isn't she? From what I remember in the documentary.
I think so. I mean, well, the demon definitely is.
The demon definitely is.
It's like going at him.
I would like the message to be a nurse or somebody who is seeing somebody taking their last dying breaths and saying, hey, this is very scary, and I'm here for you, and I love you, and I'd love to pray for you.
Yeah, I don't think they did that. What I will say, I think they
No,
did.
they did that. She said,
Didn't they say something like, "This is your last chance"?
yeah, she said,
They
this
made it
is
really
your
rushed.
last chance. You better repent. You're about to die. You're a homosexual, and God hates that.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, calm down, lady. Like, let's approach this a different way. Have you ever taken a psych class? This isn't going to help him.
No, it's not. It really is.
This is not going to change this man's mind.
I would say that.
Yeah.
That's what I wish would happen.
I agree. And again, the answer is there is no meaning and message to this. It's just gruesome.
It really is really gruesome.
Yeah. I like your messages way better.
Well, they're all the same. Empathy.
Empathy, love, Jesus died on the cross for you. He loves you.
Yeah, don't kill yourself.
Yes, please stay with us. Scene number 3, then we'll wrap up this fun segment. A kid named Jeremy is clearly suffering from bullying and depression. He's in class and stutters. And the class, he literally stutters. And the class makes fun of him. The demon taunts him and tells him, "You need to do what needs to be done." He is about to leave the class. He gets up and attempts to leave and attempts to ignore the bullying. But then a kid yells out some kind of slur to him. Mm-hmm. And he stops in his tracks. And the demon says, "You know what you need to do.
That's pretty crazy.
Eliminate the problem." And then Jeremy reaches into his bag and he pulls out a gun. Class freaks out, obviously. Mm-hmm. The teacher runs to the corner. Kids are pushing desks in front of them. Like, "Jeremy, please, we were just kidding, man. We were just kidding. Calm down. Calm down." Class freaks out, and Jeremy says, "It's time to eliminate the problem." And in a plot twist for the centuries, Jeremy turns the gun on himself and shoots himself. Dude. Then the classroom turns all red and demony. And as the demon drags him to hell, further bullying him. Yeah. As he's dragged. Even worse. Like, "You stupid idiot. Why'd you listen to me?" Again, I ask, what is the lesson here?
People who get bullied kill themselves.
And then they go to hell.
Yeah. That's the lesson.
If you don't believe us, look up the documentary.
It's pretty nuts.
These happened actually in this documentary. These are things that happen at these places. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy.
There's even a domestic abuse scene.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Into where we think, actually, I didn't even realize this. I think he kills her.
He kills her.
And then he gets forgiven.
Yeah.
Which, I mean.
It happens.
But why did everybody else not get forgiven?
I know.
I mean, if you'd asked me.
That is so freaking
murder seems
true.
Like the craziest thing to do in all these scenes. And he's the only one that got forgiven. Mm-hmm. What's up with that?
Just some representation.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna say this, and this is there's no way you can't tell me this isn't true. I've experienced this all the way up in my 24 years of life. We are so quick as Christians to forgive murderers than we are homosexuals
or pedophiles.
Huh?
Or pedophiles.
That's right. Anybody who's committed something like that, we're so quick to forgive them, which is, in my opinion, great. Mm-hmm. I think you shouldn't change that. But on the flip side, we're less urgent to forgive somebody who is gay, mm-hmm. or who
was SA'd.
Yes, or who was a victim of something like mm-hmm. that, or somebody who did something promiscuous. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why do we treat them any differently?
Because most of them are men. Right.
And so you think there's a little bit of sexism going on there? She looks at me like, obviously.
Think there's a little bit of sexism going on in American churches.
I mean, I get it. Yeah. But I was a guy, so I got the good end of it.
Yeah. Well, because here's the thing. And statistically, now I don't know the exact statistics. I'm going to write down and I'm going to bring them to you next podcast. But statistically, most of that is committed by men.
Most of what?
Murders and pedophilia.
Gotcha. Okay. Mm-hmm. Word.
And honestly, if you're a man, and I'm not saying every man in church does this, but if you're a man in church, you're going to cultivate, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to cultivate a religion where it's easier to forgive some of these things, where we preach forgiveness on murder, where we preach forgiveness on pedophilia, because we're all human and we all sin, except for homosexuals. They deserve to go to hell.
Mm-hmm. Every one of them. Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. And I'd even further say that. And lay off metal music, man. Give it a rest, okay? It's not that crazy. It's just a sound. It's literally just a sound of music.
You've been holding that one in.
I have been, and I'm letting it out because I realize we're running long. So I'm actually gonna punt the next topic to next week.
Okay.
But I just gotta say this. Next week we're gonna be talking about that in a way, and I'm sick of it. Okay, it's just a sound of music, guys.
The sound of music. The hills are alive.
I promise. It's just chill. All right. And not you guys, not our audience.
Yeah.
To be clear, you yelled at them earlier.
When?
Look, we love
Not
you.
Really. I didn't really yell at you.
We love the audience.
I just
all
said
right?
to unbuckle your
We
seatbelt and
appreciate-
drive blind.
Exactly. But we get passionate about this. We do. Because these are things that we truly believe that
Things we've
are issues,
experienced.
things that we've experienced in churches. And I'll always say this, God's perfect, but man has never been, and man never will be. And a lot of these things are man-based. God did not invent hell houses, man did.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't sit up here and say they're perfect.
That'd be crazy.
God,
In the Bible it says, "Thou shalt make a hell house every
Imagine.
October 25th."
Exactly. It doesn't say that anywhere, right? So it's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong as a Christian to be looking at these things and depicting whether or not this is helpful, whether or not as a non-believer would this help me. The answer more times than not is probably no. And even if it does in the moment, there's a great quote, and I'm not gonna quote it specifically, but look, this is just based in psychology as well.
You brought up a great quote, but then you didn't quote it.
Because I don't remember it exactly. But it basically, I'm gonna, what is it called? Summarize.
Okay, summarize.
Summarize the quote, which is
Gotcha.
basically, in business, there's basically two ways to discipline people. There is fear, and then there is positive reinforcement. The first one, fear, works tremendously well because people, when they're afraid, they act.
Yeah.
But it only works for a short period of time, and then they relapse. It doesn't last. It's like a Band-Aid. Positive reinforcement takes a little bit longer. It's a longer journey. You have to be more patient with that person. You have to keep doing it. It's a lot more work, but it lasts a very, very long time. And I think the same can be given to our walk with Christ and how we disciple with people.
So true.
Because we're called to disciple, right? But how should we disciple? How should we disciple this instead of this? What would be the alternative, right? Because we're giving you what we believe is a problem. Whether you agree with that or not, that's totally fine.
That's your business.
But here is, in my opinion, a good solution to that problem, because we don't want to just talk about the bad. Let's bring some positivity in here, right? I believe it should be more looked at like that. That fear shouldn't even be a tool, because in a lot of cases, you can look this up, and it happened. You get so afraid, and then eventually it wears off. Eventually you realize, and then some people do realize in their head, this isn't going to happen to me, right? Or they get that into their head, and it still could, but that's just what happens, right? In your mind. And then you start thinking about everything else. Maybe there isn't a devil. Maybe there isn't a God. And then you go down this road of deconstruction.
Which I love.
And then some people never come back.
Which I almost didn't.
Which you almost didn't. Which I never came close to, but
Yeah.
It's one of those things that, look, anybody who's had this fear-based preaching, fear-based tactics, hellfire, brimstone basis has, in my opinion, I think you can look back and say most of them probably have strayed away at one point.
Yeah.
And some never come back. And it's because, they decide that it's not worth it. It's not worth being afraid all the time. It's not worth being worried about your next move.
Yeah.
And really, that's totally contradictory to what we're taught to teach people, which is that you shouldn't worry. You shouldn't be afraid. Do not fear. There's joy. There's great news that no matter what, we die tomorrow. If you're a Christian, you go to heaven, right?
Yeah.
No matter what, something bad happens to you, you're a Christian. God's got your back. That gets lost in translation with these, and it builds a bad foundation. And I think that's the key. Now, if you have a foundation in loving God and a loving Christ, and you go through this, you'll probably be okay. It's all about the foundation.
Yeah.
Right? A strong foundation. It's said in the Bible. A strong foundation is what. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's what sprouts flowers.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Grows vines. Whatever the Bible verse is.
Grapes, tomatoes, celery, onions. You get it.
You get what I'm saying. That's what it does, right? So that's what we should strive for. To back this up even further, and to kind of end this episode here, I have some Bible verses. Because we love doing that. Don't ever neglect this bad boy. Matthew 5:13-16. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. You're the salt of the earth. You're the light of the world. Now, what light is going to go out there and scare people? Light brings
Children.
comfort. What?
And scare children.
And scare children. Yeah, I think you were saying children are the ones that do that. Children are little monsters in their own right, but that's not their fault.
You gotta love them.
You don't got to. No, you should. Yeah, you should. As we're going to maybe have a kid in the future. I should probably learn to love
Coming
them.
up soon. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that episode. Basically what I'm trying to say is a light brings comfort. A light brings joy, you know? And then what's the point? Let's say, okay, so when salt loses its flavor, right? That basically, what he usually talks about is like whenever, you know, you've sinned, you've fallen from God, you're the salt of the earth. You're meant to serve him. You're meant to do your calling. But if you back away from that calling, there goes your salt. You no longer have a purpose. But we never talk about, like, what if, as Christians, we hinder that same person and cause them to lose their salt?
Yeah.
In a way, aren't we responsible? Don't we have blood on our hands for that?
That's true.
I believe we would.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so crucial to really stop doing that.
Yeah.
You know, and to love everybody. That's the whole point
We're
of
doing that a lot.
That's the whole point of our podcast, though, is that we love people.
Yeah.
I sincerely do.
Yeah.
I know she sincerely does.
Sometimes.
Yeah, well.
No, I do.
Unless they're on the road.
Unless they're on the road, then it's free game.
Well, but seriously, it's why we do this.
Yeah.
I got two more, then we'll get out of here. John 13:34. A new command I give you: love one another. Oh, look at that! Just talking about that. As I have loved you, so you must love one another.
Can you believe the Bible says to love everyone?
It's amazing. I love it. It doesn't get talked about enough, or if it does, it doesn't get taken seriously enough.
No. Side note: we talk about this all the time, where we say there are so many cool things in the Bible,
right?
So many cool things to learn about, and we're stuck on the same sins over and over again. Homosexuality, promiscuity, like, guys, there's so many cool things in the Bible. I want to learn about that every Sunday.
Yeah, and we will. And that's something that I want to also get into more as this podcast progresses, is more of the cool things. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
But first, I do feel a calling. I do feel God telling me, let's address this.
Yeah.
You know, to share my, you know, understanding of what he's saying, to share my understanding of what he's taught me, because I don't believe it's by accident. I didn't look for this, by the way. I was perfectly happy not having any other opinions.
Yeah.
I was perfectly fine. You know, but then you came in and changed everything.
Yeah.
I went to college. It changed everything.
Yeah.
I believe a little differently now.
Yeah. Well, you changed for me too.
Exactly. Do I believe in God? I absolutely 100% do. Do I agree with the ways that we've gone about sharing his story? I do not. I do not. One more verse here. Hebrews 6:9-12. Even though we speak like this, dear friends, we are convinced of better things in your case, things that have to do with salvation. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them. We want each of you to show this same diligence to the very end, so that what you hope for may be fully realized. We do not want you to become lazy, but to imitate those who through faith and patience inherit what has been promised. That right there is something that, I mean, pretty much just backs up everything we've just been talking about here.
Yeah.
Don't be lazy. Patience with a person. It's hard.
It's
Patience to disciple with a human being. It's difficult.
Yeah.
Right? But it's lazy if you don't go through with it. If God's telling you to minister with somebody, that doesn't mean, now, there's nothing wrong with just going and being like, oh, hey, God bless you.
Yeah.
All right? But maybe it's calling you to be deeper. Maybe it's saying, hey, talk to this person. And if they
Be a
hate you for
friend.
talking to them, be a friend.
Yeah.
Don't push me on them. Be a friend. Be patient. Be understanding. Be loving. And do it that way. And then see what happens.
Maybe same goes for your kids.
Oh, yeah. Guess we could. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
That could be another thing we talk about.
Yeah.
There's so much we want to cover. We're by no means done with this discussion.
And again, this is just my opinion.
Oh, yeah, you mean in general? I thought you were going to say something.
No, that's it.
That's it. So, with all that said, we're running on an hour here. We're going to close it out. But next week, I do want to talk about another tool in the beginning, and then maybe we'll switch up because it's a really short thing that we didn't get to, but I really do want to. And it's a little booklet. It's called Chick Tracks. What is it? Guess you'll have to find out next week. But let me tell you, they are a doozy.
That's what messed him up for real.
That's really what did it. So we'll get into what really messed me up. And before we close out, let's go ahead and do that fun fact as we always do.
Fun fact.
Fun fact of the day, we'll say our goodbyes. We'll talk about Chick Tracks a little bit next week, and then probably something else on top of that because that's very short. What do you got for me? What's but let me give you a better intro here.
Oh, that's so true. That's freaking rude.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the end of the show, which means it's
The
time
best
for
part of the show.
my favorite part of the show, the best part of the show, because I get to hear my lovely wife talk. I get to hear her talk about something that is fun, something that is a fact, and that is absolutely not a joke, which I thought was in the beginning. So, with that being said, Anna, it is time for your fun fact of the day. Take it away, please. Go for it.
Okay. I have 2 fun facts.
Oh my goodness.
And they have, sorry.
You always do this when we run super long.
Well,
Go for it.
And they have nothing to do with anything.
That's fine.
With each other or with what we're talking about or nothing.
Love it. You had 0 before we started, now you have 2
I know.
somehow.
Sometimes I find more than one and I don't want to wait. Okay. Only 4 words in the English language ends with dus. Horrendous, tremendous, hazardous, and stupendous.
Wow, so bad news for rappers there if you want to use
Only
any of those
4
words.
words.
That's crazy.
Are you ready for the next one?
I am.
Human teeth are the only part of the body that can't heal themselves.
Whoa.
Teeth are not made of live tissue and are coated in enamel, which can't spontaneously regenerate.
So you tell me that your arms can regenerate? What are you talking about there? What did you say?
Human teeth are the only part of the body, not limb. Like if I cut off
This
the
is
limb,
a part of my body.
that can't heal themselves. That doesn't
Right.
even regenerate your arm.
That's what I thought I meant. You mean like
Like if you get a cut anywhere,
and
it can
heals.
heal.
Or if you break a bone after a while it'll heal.
Exactly, dude. Be for real.
Okay. Well,
Just
you
be for
gotta
real.
be more clear.
Just be for real.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
That
I
was
feel
a
like
little
that
misleading.
one was a little more
I
context
feel
clues.
like that. No, you should not expect me to use context clues. What is this?
Okay. You're notoriously bad at context
I
clues.
am. Anybody who's ever talked to me, I tell them I'm the most gullible person alive. I do not know what's going on in this world.
And they think he's lying, but he's not.
I wish I was. I wish I was lying.
But yeah, that's the fun facts.
Well, thank you very much for giving those beautiful fun facts.
You're welcome.
So like I said, next week we're going to be talking about some other things, some awesome things, maybe a little bit more about these kind of things, and then some more on top of that. As we get ready for November, but I think we have one more week in October.
Ooh, yeah, we do.
I think we have one more week in October.
This is actually the last week in October.
Is it really?
Yeah. It's the 23rd.
That's right.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay, we did it, guys. Alrighty then.
Happy Halloween.
In that case, have a happy Halloween. Be safe. Be not going to these. And have a good time. Really, seriously. Have a good time. Think about what we said. Do your own research. Make your own opinions. We love all of it.
Do your own research and make your own opinions.
And call into the show if you want. We might have some of that coming in. We might get my dad on here.
DP?
The DP. The designated pastor. The daddy pastor. The doopity boppity.
Dippity bop.
Hoopity. Whatever you want to call him. He might be coming on here whenever we have a question so we can better inform you. Until next time, folks, thank you again so much for watching. That was really loud. We love you so much and have a great time with whatever you're doing after this. And we'll see you next week on
Worship Warrior. Copyrighted.
Warrior.